Hello, and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. On behalf of OTC Markets, we're very pleased you joined us for our Metals and Mining Conference. Our next live presentation is from Founders Metals. And Founders Metals is a Canadian-based exploration company advancing the Antino Gold Project in South America. Please note you may submit questions for the presenter in the box to the left of the slides. You can also view a company's availability for one-on-one meetings by clicking Book Meeting in the top toolbar. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Colin Paget. He is the President and Chief Executive Officer of Founders Metals, which trade on the OTCQX Best Market under the symbol FDMIF and on the TSXV under the symbol FDR. Welcome, Colin.
Yeah, thanks very much. Very glad to be here. All right, I'll take it from there. So I guess jumping into the story, thanks everyone for showing up today for the presentation. I'm really happy to be able to kind of share what's going on with the project at Antino, and for anyone who's not been introduced to this story before to go through for the first time and let you know kind of what all the excitement has been about and what we're most excited about this year. So Antino, for Founders, we've been going here, I guess March of 2023 is when we got rolling. We're now a year and a half on from there, and we've had quite a lot of success in the ground. So I'll just dive right in here. So a little kind of zoomed out view first, looking at the Guyana Shield, which is the kind of geologic province or area that Suriname and our project sits within. But this map here, the Atlantic Ocean is a little bit narrower than it should be, and that's on purpose, just to show that there's that West African or the Bermudian Shield in West Africa is contiguous geology with the Guyana Shield, and really the big takeaway is that there's a lot known about the gold and mineralization and everything in West Africa, but there's been very little exploration overall done in the Guyana Shield, and it has that same sort of prospectivity. So we see the future in the Guyana Shield as a lot of new, very big discoveries. There's been some recent ones made just in the last year or so, and we think that Antino has the potential to be another one of these big mines in the future in this very, very prospective part of the world. Zooming into the country, so located in Suriname, center of the Guyana Shield, northeast corner of South America. Suriname is a country about 400 by 400 kilometers in dimension. It's very much a gold-focused economy. There's two active producing mines in country right now. Newmont has the Marion mine, which has been operating for coming on 10 years. Rosebel has been there for almost 20 years. So a long history of stable production from two very large producing gold mines. But overall in the country, those mines represent only about 40% of total production. Small scale artisanal mining is very much a part of the culture and is about 60% of the gold production annually from the country. So very much a gold friendly or gold mining friendly jurisdiction. Antino is down here in the southeast corner. We're about 200 kilometers from Paramaribo, but about a 50-minute flight from the capital direct to our main camp. The property is 200 square kilometers or 20,000 hectares. We're fully permitted for all the exploration, all the drilling type work that you'd want to do. And we actually have exploitation concessions. And so with that, we're fully permitted basically straight through to mining if we wanted to go that route. Overall, excellent access and infrastructure that I'll get into in a following slide. And then this is a really important one, the capital efficient exploration piece. So we run all of our own diamond drill rigs, which is a little different from the usual explorer story. What that allows us to do gives us a lot of flexibility on the ground, but it also keeps our costs very, very low. And so we've drilled a lot of meters for not so much money over the last year and a half, and that's really been a product of doing a lot of it ourselves. Recently, we had a big investment from B2 Gold in fall last year. They came in as 5% investors, and we're certainly happy to have them as strategic investors in the story. And I think it certainly helps to validate the discoveries and things that we've made for people who are new to the story. We are building on a historic data set, so about 32,000 meters of historic drilling. About half of that is diamond drilling. But the bigger number there is the 500,000 ounces of reported historical gold production. I really like pointing that number out because that's the gold somebody's paid taxes on. So chances are there's been a little bit more than that come off the property over the last 120 years of gold mining activities. But it really speaks to the potential for scale and with the drilling and the results that we've had since then. I think two things tie together very well. Overall, we've had a lot of very good success with very high grade gold mineralization on Antino. Big number that started off everything in 2023 was this 15.5 meters at 30 grams per ton. That's just a fantastic interval all around, and definitely had a few people start to pay attention. And since then, we've drilled over 20 100+ gram meter products. We have over 50+ gram meter products. So very, very high grade gold mineralization for the Guyana Shield. For 2025 exploration, we're just getting rolling with the year, fully funded for a 60,000 meter drill program this year. And we're going to be focusing mostly on testing new targets and really defining as many new things as we can while we continue to grow the mineralization that we defined to date. So quick snapshot, I think, just looking at the last year and kind of, everything that we've accomplished over that time frame. And then that kind of leads into, what we've got coming up for this year. But a lot of things really evolved over the year. And it moves quickly in this industry, but in geologic understanding, as a first one, was we were just starting to understand the rocks there. Our chief geologist, started around that time, or a little bit before that. He did his PhD on a 2 million ounce or almost 2 million ounce gold deposit. It's about 10 kilometers from us. So, I'm pretty confident or happy to be able to say that we've got probably the best geologist, or the guy that knows the most about those rocks, pretty much anyone out there. This year, we say we cracked the code. I think that's a bit in reference to having some success with a target that we call Da Vinci. And we really use that upper Antino area, the main area that I'll show you on a map where that is, as our kind of natural laboratory to understand the geology, understand the structure, understand mineralization, and then be able to apply that understanding elsewhere to new discoveries. In terms of meters, February last year, 10,000 meters drilled. And then this year, we're a little over 53,000 meters today. In terms of primary discoveries, we had Upper Antino was the focus last year. At that point, we'd already made a few discoveries there even, especially to depth and across strike with some of this parallel structure stuff. But we had a number of high priority targets that we needed to get to. We were, this year we're looking at Upper Antino, Boise, Lower Antino, Da Vinci, all of these as being fairly advanced new discovery areas for us. High confidence targets, we moved a lot of those kind of up the ladder, I guess. And then this year, we've got, all the names aren't so important. You'll see them on a map, but the important thing is that there's a number of them out there. And on top of this still, there's quite a few more that we'll be targeting with the drill. Metallurgy-wise, always a nice box to be able to tick when you can say that you have excellent metallurgy. It's a very simple gold-only type system, but non-refractory, up to 96% recovery, and in that 91 to 96% range with our preliminary work. So great results there. Research coverage, we've got 4 analysts covering us now. Most recent one is with the Bank of Montreal. That just came out a few weeks ago. Overall, the consensus between those reports is that they see prospectivity at that kind of 5 to 10 million ounce potential for the property that we have today. And given the geology and what we understand about it, we're pretty happy with that range. In terms of strategic investors, B2 came in, as I mentioned earlier. We had some pretty big notable team additions as well. Chris Taylor, in particular, he joined the team just a few months ago as a director. He's the CEO or former CEO of Great Bear Resources, which sold for around $1.4 billion just a few years ago. And was an excellent success in our business. Carlos Bertoni is a well-known, well-regarded geologist in the Guyana Shield. Has been part of a lot of big discoveries down there. Former CEO of Reunion Gold, who recently has sold the Oko West project to G Mining, who are developing that right now. And then, as well as part of the management team, Katie McKenzie joined from Skeena, where she was part of taking that story from the early discovery stages that we were at in 2023, part of last year, and all the way through to that kind of later stage development, which is where we see ourselves heading. Capital, raised a fair bit of money. We're actually just recently raised some money as well. That's part of that number. And then market cap, we've seen some pretty big growth. But tying it all together, I mean, the big questions here, and what's driven value, what's driven these increases. It's been last year. It was really how big is Upper Antino, and we extended it to 1.6 kilometers, from 400 or 500, took it down to 275 meters. We really showed that this is something significant. This year, we're focusing on how many Upper Antinos are there out there. The potential for additional Upper Antino scale targets is very, very high on the property, and some of the results we've had to date with drilling have already kind of pointed in that direction. Quick corporate snapshot before I get into the rocks part of it. In terms of the breakdown of things, management and insiders are at 11% right now. B2's 5%. Institutional investors, including groups like Dynamic Funds and BlackRock, around 50%, and then about 30% retail. So really nice breakdown overall. Very happy with that structure. Shares outstanding, about 88 million today. Working capital is 30 million on this slide. We've just raised another $30 million. So we're in around 60 million when that closes here in the coming week or so. And then the warrants that are here, all of the last 4 financings we've done have all been without any warrant. So this is holdovers from the earliest days, and they all expire at the end of March, which will bring in a few more dollars and have us with a clean sheet where it's just straight shares. Overall, I mean, obviously very happy with share chart. We don't have a hockey stick type chart. Really, I think the continual success with the drill has been what's driven our share price overall and the valuation, and we expect to see some continued growth by the same means with the drilling. So digging into the property and kind of showing you what that looks like. So this area here is the full 200 square kilometers. This is the border with French Guiana, and the property here, you see all this disturbance in the ground. That's all alluvial or small scale mining that started in the late 1800s and has been ongoing since then. So a pretty well-known area for gold mineralization. We at Upper Antino, in terms of infrastructure, we were very fortunate on basically starting early. We had a camp with facilities for kind of 80, 100 people. We did a lot of upgrading. It was certainly a lot more rustic when we first arrived. We now have capacity for about 150 people on site and currently have 85, 90 people at any given time working right now. And we have a 1.3 kilometer airstrip at that main camp. I think today it's probably safe to assume that it's the third busiest airstrip or airport in Suriname. There's a lot of traffic in and out. It's a commercially maintained, commercially serviced strip. You can actually buy a plane ticket in the capital, and it depends a bit on how much you weigh. They do put you on a scale, but $100, $150 US will get you dropped off at our main camp with a commercial ticket, which is a very big part of our success early on. Just made things very easy, moving people and things in and out. The river is the other big access part for infrastructure. This is bargeable most of the year. So in high water, you can bring everything up to D8 dozers, articulating haul trucks, 40-ton trucks. All of that is on the property today, and means that in future development scenario, we're bringing things in to do more work as part of the exploration. You have that access point already there. Additionally, we've got a lot of targets circled here. One thing we benefit from as well is the kind of pre-existing road network that, even though you can't see all of them, there's a pretty well-established road network that connects most parts of the property. So we're able to get to new things pretty readily. Jumping into the gold part of it, This has always been a slide or a data set that I found pretty impressive. These are historic auger samples that only really covered about half of the property. So kind of, that upper northwest half of the property was covered by historic auger work. So these samples, in all the areas where you see these big highlighted results, those are where there's higher density sampling. But in each of those, you have results that are up to 20, 30, 50, 60 grams per ton. Those sorts of samples in auger, those aren't anomalies. Those are the thing that you likely are looking for as far as mining goes. At each of these targets, anywhere that we've subsequently gone and drilled, we've had, and some of the historic work had success as well, and found very good results and very high grade results overall. So 38 meters at 10 grams is just an example of one of the Upper Antino results. At Bueze, where we've now done about 4,500 meters of drilling, we've 20 meters of 7.65. That was within 78 meters, 2.35. That's excellent results from this area. And then a little bit lower grade, but very impressive widths and consistency in mineralization. Our third hole at Lower Antino at 82 meters of a gram. And we're in the process of continuing to follow up on all of these. Out from that, we've not gotten to quite a few of these targets, but we did around late December last year. We had results from Da Vinci, 36 meters at 2.21, but mineralized intervals up to 67, 70 meters out of the Da Vinci camp. And then most recently, we announced channel sample results of over 100 gram meters per product, 17.8 meters of 5.68 from a brand new area, another one that's kind of 3+ kilometers from the nearest drill hole. So these are all major new discoveries in their own right, and all things that have that potential to replicate what we see or what we've defined to date and see Upper Antino growing into. So jumping into Upper Antino, showing you kind of what I've been talking about so much here. These are drill results at Upper Antino. This is all the Founders Metals drilling. What you see is, there's a really well-defined trend here to the northwest. It's 1.6 kilometers of strike with results at 38 meters of 10, 15.5 of 31, 14.5 of 16, 10 of 24. It's really phenomenal results overall from this area. It started as a kind of a single high-grade shear, 600 or 700 meters along strike, which was fantastic. But the whole thing really changed for us at Upper Antino when we started doing some step back drilling to get deeper down, hit that main shear. We found that there was a lot of parallel mineralization to that main structure. And so, it's in that step out work and that kind of ongoing work that we're doing now that we've been able to define these parallel zones and turn this into something that has a potential for a very sizable open pit mining type scenario, but with the grades are high enough grades that, open pit to, eventual underground as a very real potential scenario. The area over here that we call Donut, which is, we inherited that name. It's not a great name for a target. You want to find gold if you're going to call it Donut, but we were very fortunate there. We were looking actually for lower grade mineralization, and we're very fortunate to find not that. We found very high grade mineralization there, 19 meters of 14 grams, 45 meters over 2. So some really impressive results from this area, and that all ties together as part of a large fold in this area. So yeah, in terms of where we go here, there's still a lot of drilling to do, a lot of area to fill in the middle here. We see a lot of potential in this kind of overall hinge zone, and then continuing down to the southeast through across this area to the southeast. I think is very high potential for more mineralization along strike, and then to depth. We're only 265 meters down with the deepest intercept, so there's a lot of room to grow to depth. These sorts of structures, as seen elsewhere in the Guyana Shield, can have roots in them that extend to a kilometer plus. Jumping to the next target, Bueze, which is that one. It's about 6 kilometers to the southeast of Upper Antino. Here we are looking at it a little differently, different thesis coming into it. This is more intrusion hosted. than the vein-hosted stuff at Upper Antino. The intrusion-hosted piece, you're looking for that kind of broader, low-grade type mineralization, but you want the high-grade stuff mixed in there to bring up the overall average and make a very attractive, open-pittable bulk tonnage from surface type deposit. And I think we went in with a first round of drilling, and we're now into phase 2 of that work after the success of round 1. And we've shown that there is that kind of low-grade bulk tonnage background type grades, the 110 meters of 0.34, 140 meters of 0.3, and then also that high grade. So, we've had some channel sample work of our own, 8 meters of 9, 12 meters of 11, samples up to 113 grams per ton. And those kind of at the margin of these intrusives. And then inside the intrusive, you also do get some high grade intervals as well. And that's that 20 meters of 7 from up here in Boise 11. So we actually have a drill on this area here right now, planning to kind of fill in the gaps effectively and start stepping back on some of this high grade material, and then continuing to head northwest up towards Froyo and start filling in the gap there where there's some interesting historic anomalies. Next is, in terms of exploration, it's the Lower Antino piece. I love this cross-section. Does a really good job of showing mineralization and showing the potential here. These are historic auger assays, and these are all in saprolite, or the kind of weathered oxide layer at the top of the fresh rock. Some of them go down up to 15, 20 meters, and very high grade numbers in some of those augers. This is all preserved. There's been no mining in this area. And then in our third drill hole, what we've called our discovery drill hole here, we intercepted an extremely broad shear zone with almost 82 meters of very consistent grade throughout the sheared interval. And it still does have a fairly high grade core to that broader interval, but the consistency of grade is really what's important, because that's what bulks out into a lot of ounces fairly quickly, really. So almost a 3 kilometer wide auger anomaly that we haven't really even begun, I'd say, to fully test the extent of, and we're certainly excited to continue drilling there for the rest of the year, especially with some of the geophysical anomalies that we've seen in this area as well, that line up very nicely with some of the structure that we've drilled. Da Vinci is the last one that I'll go through in any detail here. This was the discovery we announced in December. This section as well, pretty straightforward overall, but we had fantastic results right from the very first drill hole, and that doesn't happen very often in mineral exploration. So 28 meters of 1, but 10 meters of 2.4, 10.5 meters of 38.4 inside a 47 meter wide zone. This is a 67 meter wide zone down here. And then but 21 meters of 3. So some excellent mineralization, very consistent over some pretty deep intervals. We're down over 200 meters down here. We're intercepting these things, and that's right out of the first 6 drill holes, basically. So we've got some more drill results to release from Da Vinci coming up, and we think that will continue to be an exciting target for the rest of the year here. So I guess I want to wrap up. Before I wrap up, I want to go through the option agreement, kind of what we own. So Antino itself, we have an option agreement to earn into up to 75%. We've completed everything for 51%. Stage 2, we expect to meet the work commitment portion of things here in the next 2 or 3 months at the pace that we're working at. And then stage 3, we would meet this work commitment number by the end of this year as well. We are working with the optionors, who are a Surinamese family or group. They've been very supportive partners in country, and a lot of help in helping us on the logistics side, on the kind of everything, helping us get as much done as we have done. So we're working with them right now to see if maybe we can come together and actually consolidate everything as 100% ownership under founders, which I think would be ideal for all parties. terms of overall opportunity and news flow, like what's coming up for us, we have to date been very consistent in putting out a lot of news. And so in 2025, kind of once we close this financing that we announced last week, we really are going to be ramping up the drill result releases. I expect, or what I plan to do, is for the more advanced exploration targets like Upper Antino, Lower Antino, Boise, those will do a fair bit of drilling and then compile things and put out kind of more robust press releases on those areas. But we're going to be doing this rapid release drill result piece for all of the new stuff. I think everyone found it very exciting to follow along kind of 1, 2, 3 drill holes at a time with the Upper Antino stuff when we were just getting going there. And so I'd like to replicate that with Van Gogh, Da Vinci, Lawa, all of the new areas that we will be drilling this year. And there's a lot of meters dedicated to this stuff, so I expect to have a lot of news from that as well. And these are really the big ones. I mean, it's finding new things on the property is the name of the game this year, and those new discoveries are really what drive value as we move forward. Also, completing that stage 2 of the option, I think, will be a big catalyst, and then we do have some additional kind of test work and baseline studies going on for the rest of the year. So this is a great photo. It's an actual vein of gold in the rock. Pretty impressive stuff. But I'll stop there and take a minute to have a look at some questions or go through that with everyone. Let's see. So one of the questions that's here is, when will we see founders drill deeper? Looking at kind of say 400 or 500 meters or more to test the depth. Right now we're focused on strike extent because it's the most efficient dimension, I guess, to extend. Geologically, we don't have any concerns over it not continuing. I think it's pretty reasonable to assume that these sorts of structures or sorts of systems extend to depth, but we will at some point, either at the latter part of this year or potentially early next, but later on in the exploration plan, we'll do some much deeper holes to kind of fill in that middle inventory for a potential future resource. Another question is, what attracted B2 Gold to invest? I think really it's jurisdiction. As from a big picture standpoint, I think there's a lot of potential there and they see that. Then getting them down to site, I think anyone that's stepped on the property sees very quickly the scale potential. And that's what guys like B2 are looking for, is the opportunity or potential for these multi-million ounce tier 1 type gold deposits. So that's really, I think, the potential for that is what got them interested. And kind of a last question here, I think, before we wrap up. Who would you say here's the last one. Who would you say are your blue sky potential peer projects to help get a sense of potential future M&A values? Really, in the area, I think probably the closest comparison would be the Marion asset of Newmont's, which is a 450,000 ounce per year producer. Right now, there's a lot of similarities geologically with that deposit, right down to the rock package and orientation of structures, and yeah, it's a lot of things that you can tie it to. So I think that's probably the closest one, and it's a 7+ million ounce gold deposit today. So yeah. Anyway, I'll leave it there, and thanks very much for joining us. All of our contact information, you can reach us at info@fdrmetals.com, or there's additional contact information on the website. Thanks very much.